They want war. Crime babies looking for food. Starvation, the recipe. People subdued. When the people you trust got it in for you. Deceit is the word of the day in every crew. Don't let it go. It's from the days of old. Time is up, but some still do not know. Can I make up my mind? Is it worth the dime? Do I have to take a minute just to make it mine? Life's never fair, but don't listen to the TV. Go out and take a listen to the streets with the people in the slums and the homeless bums with degrees and degrees sitting under a tree. It's not easy in the world for the poor man, the one that brought you to reality. See, they don't want you to know about the black sheep. Even 7 roads to the 12 families all around the globe with an ancient code. Is it really asking a lot to say a death old? Cause we sitting on the earth looking back at extinct. And I'm standing on some ground that's about to sink. I ain't scared for a minute, I ain't about to blink, but I documented for the world what I see and think. Feel we on the call and I feel we on the break. All Congress gonna do is waste paper and ink. Vote or die. You voted and you'll die. You can have it both ways, can't say it's a lie. You can march all you want, but they playing you wrong. They only understand war, it's the same old song. They want war. All they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War. All they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. Like a lotus coming out of the mud with colors, I create envy in those with power but jealous. I unify the poor with my song, the hell with the others. Descended the way they treat indigenous brothers. Cause I understand we link forever. They try to hate us even though that we keep it together. I'm not talking about controlling the air or the weather. I'm talking about maintaining the truth, the high endeavor. A rebel drops bombs in the midst of trouble. The free world counterattack and now there's double. But nature gets the shit in a way that's subtle. If you stop the machines for a minute you might hear, but they won't cause the TV's whisper in the ear. And capitalism has eyes that don't hear, and they cloud up and get crazy and won't steer. And like an ab, it's hard to get an ass to listen. Living like this is like living in prison. It's hard to keep hope when you're living in prison. The spiritual thoughts, so yes, the mental prison. The outside, yes, it's got to get through. Something's gotta die, so something here can live. Your life is nothing if you got nothing to give. Keeping the spiritual, yes, disguise is religion. Controlling your mind, the mental prison. They want war. All they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War. All they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. can save ya, cause this is the season of funky behavior. I came to relax your mind, you can recline. On what? On this here rhyme. I like the style, I'm staying for a while. It helps me show cats that I'm versatile. I'll touch your dial, turn your frown to a smile. I'll make you feel like you're having a child. So relax and open up, child. I'm about to make you walk what? Pimp style or pimped out style. You don't understand the logic. See, if you don't have it all, I'll take a deposit. I got shit for you, it's alright indeed. It's like going to the garden and planting the seed. It might tickle for a second, but it won't bleed. So just relax, just hear a dope track. The vibes is real nice, everything is real fat. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Just relax and just hear a dope track. The vibes is real nice, everything is real fat. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Your entertainment at the same time, edutainment. In other words, you could call it bent. What I'm saying is that I'm here at your service. It's hard work, but then again, I deserve this. I'm helping people enjoy their spare time. I'm like an instructor when I'm doing my rhyme. Relax and just hit the dope track. It's really
1 2 1 2. We in effect again. Yeah, sorry about that, y'all. I was deep and I just slept. I don't even know how many hours it was straight. Yeah, you know, something about that, like you know, my hours, the type of hours I keep between my work and then my other activities outside of work, you know, sometimes I actually forget. And I've gotten in this habit of just sleeping when I can't do any more. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. So I missed the live that was supposed to be 4 hours ago. But this is the actual live, the second live I had scheduled. Right. So let's see how it goes. But I don't know how many of you notice. Right. But things are changing. The news is spreading. And it doesn't look great for the U.S. It doesn't look great for the U.S. And, you know, again, I'm going to tell people again, if you're listening, if you're on the internet, do not listen to the trolls. Do not listen to the trolls. You know, I mean, because they are in abundance and people have to get used to understanding that there are paid farms, troll farms, you know, there are bots, but most of all, you know, these things out there to kind of steer the United States into a civil war, right? Trying to back up Trump's opinion. That's what all the bots are doing. That's what all the trolls are doing. Backing up Trump. But a lot of this shit online is not, these are not real American people. I just got to tell you that, right? So if you follow a troll and that is your foreign policy for the U.S., if you follow a troll and that is your domestic policy for the U.S., you are a person that is just not understanding what is going on in your life right now. So please keep it simple. Trump didn't give you what he said he was going to give you. There's a reason why he didn't give you that, because he was lying and setting you up for something else. And if you think what is going on inside of the U.S. is normal right now, I feel sorry for you. I feel sorry for you. And let me start off in one place. I mean, there's really, really bad economic news on the horizon for the U.S. And I'm going to tell you, one easy way that you can watch is by monitoring gold, right? Seeing the price of gold just go up and up. And the price of gold, I mean, for those of you that invested in some gold when Trump first got into the White House, for those of you that invested in gold, you're doing very well. You see what I mean? I mean, I knew myself. I knew, like, soon as Trump comes into office, the gold is going to go up because the economy is the U.S. dollar is going to lose value instantly. And I learned that lesson in 2016. So I said, hey, you know what? This dude is January 20th. It's January 20th. Let me just go ahead and buy some gold while it's low. Why is that? Because a lot of people around the world put their money in dollars. They put their money in U.S. dollars, not gold. What happens is that, see, a lot of people use the U.S. currency. What happens is that when people start dumping the U.S. currency because it has less value, they usually put their money in gold. That's what they usually do. They put their money in gold. And that is exactly what has happened for the U.S. That's exactly what's happening. And it's not special. It's not a special event. It works like that for everyone. The more certain economies go down, the economies that a lot of people trade in, let's say, for example, the EU. Oh, 2 seconds. Yeah, a lot of people trade in the EU, right? In the EU dollars, same thing. If the EU dollar was to go down, gold would go up too, right? But in that case, it's not the EU dollar. It's actually the US dollar, right? And because if you look at the value of the US dollar, right? Let's see here. And you compare it to the EU, you will see the EU is holding steady. The krona is holding steady. You see? Now look at this. Look at this. Let me just open this up for a second so more people can see this. Take my thing off of the screen here. I just want to remind people that this ultimately is your reality. Oh shit, this not working anymore. Let me see here. Boom. Make that bigger. Yeah, this is ultimately your reality. Now, I don't know how many of you all can see this to the right. Now let's just move it to a year. Boom. That's what it looks like for a year. So the US dollar is on top. You can clearly see that. Let me make this a little bigger too. As a matter of fact, I can make it even bigger so everybody can make sure you see this. But I don't want you to miss the part that the dollar is on the top. It's comparing the US dollar, right, to the Danish krona. That's what it's doing. Okay. It's comparing the US dollar to the Danish krona. And we're going to flip it to the EU too. So the top is the Danish krona, right? I mean, the top is the US dollar and it's comparing it to the Danish krona, and it's at 641 right now. That's where it's at. When Trump came into power, you're here to the left. This is a year. You're looking at a year. This diagram is a year. This chart is a year. Okay. Over here to the left is Trump, right? This is when Trump first came in. As a matter of fact, what date is this? Let me see. This is, you see all this? January, February. So Trump has been in power 20 days right now. February. As soon as it hits his policy, March 3rd, it starts declining. Boom, 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 all throughout the year. And if you follow the price of gold, see, I bought mine back here in March, straight up. I bought mine in February, March. I said, let me just put my extra money, whatever I have, into gold, right? And what happened is that, gold has tripled. And not only has, and now it's just continuing to rise. Look, so that means nothing Trump has done, nothing Trump has done this year has done anything for the value to keep the US dollar a global currency. And, and by the way, just in case you're thinking that this is like a phenomenon, like this is something that, is this not right? That's happening to everybody. Everybody's going through that right now. No. That's not what the data shows. The data shows the opposite, frankly, because if you just change this chart right here and just change it to the EU, right, you will see the same exact trend. Boom. That's the same trend. Now we're on the EU. See, so the dollar has lost value to the EU, also to the euro. The dollar has lost value. It is what you are watching is the dollar losing value on the global stage, on the trade market, on the, the thing, that currency that people want to use to buy and sell goods. You're seeing that have less value. And the smart people like myself, who don't listen to trolls and think for myself. You see what I mean? Like, I actually tripled what I bought, what my investment in gold, what I made in March, it tripled and it's still going up. I was looking at, I told the mama, right? The kid's mama, the baby's mama, the baby mama, right? I said to her, I said, I don't know if you want to do this gold now anyway, because now that it's gone up, now that it's tripled 3 times, like, I'm not even sure it will even go up more, because listen, this is a unprecedented run. This is not just like this gold going up. This is a unprecedented. You haven't seen something like this in many presidencies. You know what I'm saying? Like, So I was like, nah, there's no way it's going to come on. Things are going to simmer down. People are going to get rid of Trump before that. It's the value has gone down so much. Of course, Americans are going to get tired of Trump, right? Wrong. I should have told her, yo, keep on doing that shit. Keep on, let me do something real quick. Cause I could see this is so funny. Look, and, you can see now, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you something. Yeah. Let me put this back up. Let me put this chart back up for the trolls. Yeah, that's a good one. Here we go. So here's the chart, right? Let's go back over to here. This is Google. Anybody can go into Google Finance and you can do your thing. Okay. You can look it up however you want. Okay. Here we go. Now, let me ask you a question. What are you looking at right here? You tell me in the chat. What are you looking at? I'll wait. I'll wait to see some responses. You tell me what you're looking at. Is this the US dollar doing well? I want to know from everybody, even the trolls. Is this a sign that the US dollar is doing well? Maybe you never went to school, but when the graph goes down, that means not doing well. When it goes up, it means doing well. So for example, if you were to say gold, right? If you were to go over and say gold, right? And then you look and then you look just at the damn gold chart, right? Where's the gold? Can we get here we go. And you just look at the gold performance. Here, you're going to see it going up. You're going to see it doing the opposite. And here, let's put it to the 1 year point. Boom. Okay, let's see if it comes up. Yeah. Come on. Is it taking some time? Let me see here. Let's go to another chart. Let's go to Google. Yeah. You see? Now let's go to a year. 1 year. Boom. Do you see this? Do you see this? You see that? That's 1 year. It's up here. Let me go out. You see? So the last time it's done this is during what is this? 2020. It's hold on, let me see something here. Right. It spiked. You see? That's 5 years. So up, does up mean good or does up mean bad? You tell me. I'm just curious. You tell me. Does up mean good or does up mean bad? Because, me, I've been looking inside of my bank and it says triple the value of what I bought in for. When I bought in, it was something like $11. Something like that. It was on $11 the gold. Now it's on 33 something today. So yeah. And again, I don't know where you would go to find where they would tell you that this has nothing to do with the dollar deflating. Everyone knows that this is international news. So if I was folks, I would pay attention to the signs. You see what I mean? And not believe that you can talk your way through this. Now, of course, there's a lot of people that they don't think it can get worse. You know what I'm saying? Like for those of you that aren't trolls and you still don't get it, because I get the trolls, they got a job to do. They're going to just keep on it and keep on it no matter what. But for the real people, the people that really exist, the real Americans, right? The people that actually have real U.S. identities and live in the U.S., right? That will suffer because of this, right? My advice to you is, listen, you don't owe anybody that type of loyalty. You certainly don't owe Trump that, you know what I mean? And if you're a Christian, you might owe Jesus that kind of loyalty, but Trump ain't Jesus. You know what I'm saying? So, you might want to think about that so that you can keep whatever little you're going to have left. You see what I'm saying? Like, straight up, no need to go the opposite way. Even myself, I could have not invested in gold. But listen, stocks and the value of things, trade, that has a lot to do with politics, geopolitics. Did you know that? I mean, if there's a war where there's oil, the price of oil is going to go up. But, where there's contested trade ways and security issues, trade costs more. The people who ship these goods, they don't want to be fucking killed and blown up. They don't want to risk their life. These companies have to pay people more fucking money to do their job, just to be on a ship. Like, did you know that? Hold on. Sorry. Somebody's spamming the chat real quick. Listen, I don't like to block people, and I don't always like to have the chat in lockdown in private mode. So I'm just, the people that spam and don't have anything, you can't just repeat the same thing over and over and over and think that you're not going to get blocked. So, but you can disagree, but just say something intelligent. You see what I'm saying? And disagree. Don't just like, but it is what it is. And those of you that's following this, before we get to what's going on in Minnesota and this horrific thing that everybody knows is cold-blooded murder. The woman, Renee Good, was murdered cold-bloodedly. I mean, it may as well been a fucking mafia hit, like straight up. She was killed like that. And everybody knows it now. There's no guessing to it. This man hated her because she was a woman talking back to his ass. That's what it was. And listen, if you're a man and you got a badge on and you can't take a civilian talking smack to you or because it's their First Amendment right to talk smack to you. It's their First Amendment right to say, I don't fucking like you. What you're doing is horrible. Get the fuck out of here, Nazi. It's their right to criticize you. Point blank. You should not put on any badge if you are not man or woman enough to be criticized without wanting to shoot someone 4 fucking times in the head. Okay? There's no chance of survival. The man was trying to literally kill her. That is hate. That is hate. He wasn't defending himself. He was trying to murder her. And that's exactly what happened. And if you want to murder somebody, my suggestion is you do it exactly like he did it, because he did a good job at murdering her. That was very effective. It was better than the mafia could do it. You see what I mean? And if I wanted to murder somebody myself, if I was really an animal, if I had to do it like an animal would do it, that's how I would do it. Of course, I'm not that stupid. You see what I'm saying? But if I had to make sure, she was goddamn dead, you know what I'm saying? Or anybody was goddamn, that's how I would do it. I mean, I can't think of another way. I mean, why not? He have a badge. He won't be held responsible. Why not? You could get away with it with a badge. But of course, but this is the mafia. They don't give a fuck about going to jail. The mafia will do it the same way. They got people that go to jail all the time for that. Point blank. You died, bitch. Somebody orders you dead and you had to die today. Okay? And yeah, I'm going to jail and I ain't going to say shit. That's how mafia hits happen. That's how cartel hits happen. And this guy made sure, just like the cartel will make sure your ass is dead, he did the same tactic. Up front, up close, shoot for the head, bang, bang, you dead. But you're not going to fool me with that shit. But in any case, before we get to that, people need to know they're in danger. So I'm not going to be the one to tell them they not. People need to know you're in danger. The moment the government is trying to accept that this was okay and that this was not murder, everyone is in danger now. That's the signal that I get. You know what I mean? I don't hear the federal government saying anything else, but this was her fault. It was her fault. If she didn't exercise her First Amendment right, She would be alive. So, okay, so you don't have rights anymore. So that's the signal I got. So that means everybody exercising their First Amendment rights, the police can just shoot like that. But we know, or the feds or anybody, a law enforcement, the government can just shoot you. But everybody knows that's not true. Everyone knows that's a violation of her First Amendment. Her civil rights were violated, you know. But what gets me as a man even more, what really gets me is that how punk of a man do you have to be that angry about this woman who's just sitting in a van? How angry of a person do you fucking have to be? Like, damn, that I've never seen that. And that might sound a little chauvinistic. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I'm sorry. The world is still that way. Sometimes men usually would rough the boys up a little bit more. But goddamn, where is it? Where is it in your Christian faith? Where is it in your faith that you rough up the women more? You put them in their goddamn place. I mean, where is that? Where's the manhood in that? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's sick. That's toxic. That's toxic. And now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying rough up. It's okay to rough up anybody. But I'm just saying, man, you can't live in a society where you claim to give a fuck about women and do this, because this is a society that does not care about women. The United States of America has a problem with misogyny. It has a problem with keeping women down, like straight up. It has never left that part. It has never left that history, that legacy. It is still in the legacy of when they see a woman tell you her motherfucking rights, it's like, I'm going to kill your ass, bitch. What the fuck? And that's exactly what the guy said. He called her a bitch. I mean, he was fucking angry that it was a woman. That is disgusting. That is just disgusting. And you ain't going nowhere with any people with authority like that. You are going backwards. You are going backwards. You know, I really would like to know. I'm gonna tell you, I hope people get his ass. I have to say that. I hope people get his ass, sue his ass, drag his ass down, make his life miserable. Be there every fucking where he turns, every angle he turns, you know, show him the ghost of Renee Good. You know what I'm saying? Remind this motherfucker every goddamn day for the rest of his life that he's a cold-blooded fucking murderer. He's a piece of shit. He is a weak-ass man. A weak-ass man. You know? Take that badge off and take that gun off, motherfucker, and come at somebody. You see what I'm saying? Like, really, I would really like that. Just take your fucking badge off, bitch. Take your gun off, motherfucker. You know? Anyway, I'm sorry, but I don't have a lot of time, and I only came here to say how I feel. You know what I'm saying? So nobody has to feel the way I feel. I take responsibility for how I feel and what I do. To me, this was a disgusting act of a coward, you know? But that ain't the worst of it, because if you don't think you were affected by her death, you are going to be affected by this news. And I'm telling you, there's loads of news out there, but I want you to hear something that's very concise. You can tie in with the dollar going down that you've seen, gone down since Trump went in, compared to the EU, compared to the Danish krona. Also, you have seen the dollar lose 10 points since Trump has come into office, and it has no signs, because the fact that these people have made trade deals with others is going to cement that dollar keep going down. And I'm just going to tell you again, as long as Trump is in office, nothing good is coming out of the United States at all. It's going to be all suffering for the American people. And do not say you were not warned. You ain't going to say it. You've been warned. You've been told. If you ain't doing shit about this situation and getting rid of this motherfucker, then you basically deserve what's coming. You know, it's coming, and it's bad, because the only thing that can change it is responsible leadership, and it ain't there. It's not coming with J.D. Vance. It ain't coming with Marco Rubio. It ain't coming with anybody who went on TV and explained why Trump is right. He's a genius. Every fucking day, Trump is right. So here we go.
The Supreme Court was expected to release its opinion on the legality of Trump's unilateral, or so-called reciprocal tariffs. There's a lot riding on this, as Trump's tariffs have thrown global trade into utter chaos. increased input prices on U.S.
So this is Max at the Midas Touch, all right?
imports, eaten into corporate earnings, kept inflation elevated, and forced the world to rethink alliances. Well, the SCOTUS punted for now, so observers are looking to next week for an announcement, and here's what you need to know. So the Trump administration has been pushing through tariffs under something called IEEPA, which stands for the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, a law from 1977 that grants the president broad authority to regulate commerce and transactions under a declared national emergency. The stated national emergency, of course, was the fentanyl crisis. Now, the logic is extremely shaky, and many believe that even the Roberts Court is going to have trouble justifying this maneuver. Granting such broad authority to the president has broader implications regarding executive power and cutting out Congress. So far, the lower courts have struck down the emergency powers argument, so it's up to the Supreme Court to finally decide. Either way, the one thing the Supreme Court has done is given the administration.
Ain't nobody waiting for the Supreme Court. The U.S. Supreme Court on the international stage looked like a bunch of clowns. Like the fact that they didn't stop this and make it clear a long time ago, release a statement a long time ago. This is January. This is February. This is March where they could have released a statement. The fact that it took 10 motherfucking months to let the world know what is the law and what is not the law of the United States regarding tariffs. The fact that it took that long means something, okay? And ain't nobody got time to waste, okay? Not in this world, okay? Shit matters. Every minute matters. Every second matters. And this goddamn Supreme Court took 10 months, and they still sitting back trying to figure out, how we going to finagle this so we don't look like goddamn fools? That's what they're doing. That's literally what they're doing. All you got to do is read the Constitution, and it says firmly who has the power for tariffs. You see, and that everyone else who is trading with the U.S. depended on the law. They depended on law, and they knew that this president doesn't follow the law. So they already saw the signs, and listen, they didn't give up on the U.S. They didn't give up on Americans. They sat there and waited. They said, Americans will figure this out. The law will rein it in. The people power, the numbers, the democracy, the law will rein it in. There's so many checks and balances. Let's give them a chance. Let's give our allies, the U.S., one of our biggest allies, a chance. Let's give them a chance. Well, chance is over. It's been played. It's done. It's done. They can't wait. The EU has people to feed. They got industry. They got business to handle. The rest, South America has business to handle. They have people to feed. They can't wait on some motherfuckers that can't figure out what their own law says. Are you crazy? And China ain't waiting on you. Nobody's fucking waiting on you. Everyone else has business to do. Supreme Court, fuck you. Fuck you. You are not serious people. You abandoned the fucking United States of America. You abandoned the country. Not even talking about the people. You abandoned the fucking rule of law. You abandoned your fucking economy. It's not going to bounce back like that. I'm telling you, it's not going to bounce back. See, there's real problems now. Problems that could have been learned the last time, didn't get learned. And now there's real goddamn problems, because when people start making trade deals based on friendship, based on consistency, based on law, the rule of law, the respect of law, your own laws, at least if you don't respect the international law, at least respect your own law. They already said it. They can't deal with somebody. They can't deal with a country where all the rules change just by tweet overnight by a lunatic. So it's done. And this is what American people decided they want. And this is what the Supreme Court, this is what the Congress, this is what the Senate decided to sit back on. They said, you know what? The way we're going to deal with the world and our partners is going to be through tweet. They fuck the Congress, fuck the Senate, fuck the Supreme Court. We're just going to do it through tweet and see how they like that. Okay. That was your plan? Okay. Luckily for Clarence Thomas, he's going to retire anyway, full pension. A lot of these motherfuckers are about to just go on retirement. So they're going to get their check anyway. You see what I'm saying? They're going to get their check.
Time to develop a workaround or several. And Scott Bessent, among others, has publicly alluded to the fact that there is a plan in place to do exactly that. Several provisions under prior trade acts theoretically allow the administration to re-implement the same tariffs temporarily and then continually reauthorize them. It would be a lot of work, but it's highly likely that this will be successful. The other path would be to work with the
check this out. Look, usually when I want to have fun, I go to the fucking amusement park and go get on a roller coaster ride. That's usually what I do. I don't turn my entire society into a roller coaster ride. That's the U.S. right now.
This incredibly slim.
Anybody want to have fun? Go visit the U.S. for a day. You know, just make sure you get your ass out of there after 24, 48 hours because you ain't going to be safe, yo. You're not safe. Something bad is going to happen to you.
Congressional majority that Trump enjoys at this moment to authorize tariffs retroactively. Now, this might actually be a lot harder to pull off considering that there are House districts that have really taken the brunt from these tariffs, and the Farm Belt in particular is none too happy. So if the SCOTUS knocks it down entirely, then U.S. importers even have a case to sue the government for a refund. And this would be a huge loss for the Treasury if they were to succeed. But it's unclear whether or not this is even going to be part of the decision. So there's a lot to unpack. More on that later when we talk about the New World Order that does not include the United States. Okay, so let's expand.
It does not include the United States. And let me tell you, that is going to hurt. That is going to hurt. That's going to hurt your pockets. That's going to hurt your pension. That's going to hurt your future. That's going to hurt every single American. Every single American. Every single American. Every American that sat back and thought like, oh, well, you know, we don't need to be in a rush to do anything. I'd rather be involved in the culture wars. You know, I'd rather talk about transsexuals. You know, I don't like them. You know, why should they exist? You know, that's wrong. A man wearing a dress. I don't want to deal with that in the bathroom. You know, that took priority over your pension because, look, let's be honest. Billionaires like money. They don't give a fuck if a dude is wearing a dress. I'm going to be honest with you. There's no billionaire in the United States of America sitting at Donald Trump's desk, no executive that cares about a man wearing a dress over his motherfucking money. Okay? Over his pension, over his billions of dollars, none of them care. None of them care. Yo, you bit, you took the bait and now you're going to be somebody's breakfast. You see what I'm saying? I mean, all the stupid little cultural, token ideas, things they put out there in the politics just to get you to forget that you need a pension, to forget that you need a decent living wage for a decent amount's work, to forget that, hey, why am I working and paying all these taxes and I don't even fucking have health care? To get you to forget that, damn, why is everything education in a country, the most powerful country on earth, the only Western country to not have universal education? Why am I, scratching and scraping, trying to figure out how to get an education and then pay it back when having an education means you can contribute to society? That's what that means. It's not holding society back. It's not holding anyone back. It's actually furthering the society. That's how do you think you keep immigrants out? You keep immigrants out by educating Americans. You keep immigrants out by making access to education affordable, reasonable. You keep immigrants out by making sure every American has access to any goddamn education they want to take it any day of the week. You keep immigrants out by making sure that every goddamn American citizen has access to health care anytime they get sick any fucking day of the week, or their kids. That's how you actually keep immigrants out, by growing motherfucking Americans. But this administration got everybody fooled into thinking that, oh no, we don't need to grow more Americans. We don't need to make sure Americans are safe to keep immigrants out. Yo, it's a vacuum. It's a vacuum. If you ain't healthy and you ain't educated, somebody has to be willing to fucking do the work that you ain't doing. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. And if somebody comes from another country that's an engineer, already finished their education and knows what to do with that education, and you ain't educating enough engineers in your own country because of your own policy, why is that their fault? Why is that the immigrants' fault? Okay.
Out from tariffs to look at trade more generally, because there was a huge movement in the U.S. balance of trade that the administration is definitely going to tout as a win.
Check this out. Do me a favor. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. I'm going to put the chat in subscriber mode. So you can always go up and subscribe, right? That would really go a lot to the conversation. Let me see here. Let me just do that real quick. Boom. And we will see how serious people are about this little journey here and, and participation. I just like to do this from time to time because I also know that trolls, they don't have the ability to actually subscribe. Most of them don't, because they're robots and all of this shit. So let me go in there and do this right now. No offense to those of you that are real people. Right. But and may have some dissenting comments, but let's just keep it real. There is a phenomenon called bots and trolls. And so I just want to make sure that it's also pleasant for my subscribers. Right. At the very least. So 1 minute, I'm about to put it in subscriber mode. So that means in 1 minute after you subscribe, you can get back in the chat again. So those of you that for some reason get blocked out, I also like to see how much of that activity is there for myself. So but in any case, this is not a good look for the U.S. This is it hasn't been a good look. It's never been a good look for the U.S. We've been saying that it's not a good look. Let me put that on pause. Yeah, I've been saying it's not going to work out well for a minute, and it hasn't worked out well. It hasn't worked out well for the U.S., and it has gone exactly in the direction that people who said beware of Trump said it would go, and it's here, it's
The
here.
U.S. Census Bureau and the BEA announced that the goods and services deficit was nearly $30 billion in October, which is down from $48 billion in September. So what you see here on the gold vertical lines is that our trade deficit has in fact come down substantially. What I really want you to look at is that
you could see it's been a number of people already cut out of the chat, because they're not subscribers. So you could see what's up with that. So anyway, let's take the journey. Look at this chart. All the charts are negative. Jobs, it doesn't matter what it is. They're all negative. And keep in mind, the dollar is negative. That means, and the dollar is negative. Yo, the trade numbers are negative. The trade numbers, what the U.S. is trading, man. Trump came in and said, yeah, we're going to boost production. Yo, not only did he not boost production on a motherfucking thing, he boost production on AI. That's about it. But outside of that, that's poisoning people. But outside of that, not only did he not boost production, you're going to be more dependent on others than you ever fucking were because of this dude's goddamn policy. It's going to cost you in the grocery store. It's going to cost you in every goddamn store what this dude is doing. He did the exact opposite of what he said he was going to do. And if you are a MAGA supporter, if you are a real American and you support this guy, get off this train now. You've been had. You've been had. You have been had. And as much as I hate some of these hateful ass Americans, because a lot of these MAGA people, I don't know if they know it. They may not feel like they hate other people. They may feel like they're justified. Listen, man. Listen, a lot of people see you all as being haters. Hating people because of their color. Hating people because of their name. Being hypocrites because a lot of you don't even really go back that far. A lot of these MAGA supporters' families don't even go back that far in the U.S. 1, 2 motherfucking generations. Sorry, that's not deep. That makes you an immigrant family. You know what I'm saying? And these motherfuckers are supporting Trump, supporting anti-immigration policy. They just against comprehensive immigration reform. That's what kills me. But listen, Trump has abandoned the American people. That means MAGA also. He has abandoned you. This man has come to wreak havoc on your life. And if you're getting some pleasure out of it because some other American is getting hurt, just wake up because you getting hurt too. What kind of surprise? What kind of celebration is that? Like, what? It's like you standing across a Republican and a Democrat kidnapped by a sociopath. all captured in a room, chained up to a room. One on the other side, each one on the other side of the room. One got a chopped off arm. The other one got a chopped off leg. The one with the chopped off arm is like, ha ha ha, you fucking Dems, you fucking liberals, ha ha ha. That's what we got going on. That's what we got. This is it. It's just insane. They enjoy watching a liberal suffer while they're suffering the same. What the hell? What the hell? That's backwards. That ain't what a party's supposed to be. It's all bad news. It's all
the
bad
divergence
news.
of the blue and the red lines at the end of the graph, which we'll come back to later. Here's why the Trump administration is going to claim victory on this, why it is in fact not a victory, and how it ties into the larger theme of U.S. dollar and demand destruction. Donald Trump has long said that he thinks the world is taking advantage of the United States because we're a net importer of goods and services. So in his mind, this is extraction, rather than a reflection of the fact that the U.S. economy is based on consumption. Now, it wasn't always this way. So that
when you have it good, when you have good policy, your people have money to spend. They consume more. That's Trump confused consuming. He confused more people having more money in their pocket than before. Not that there wasn't inflation, but generally, we're talking about generally over 100-year period, more people had more money in their pocket than ever before in the United States. Things were more moving towards more a wider economy. You remember we talked about this economy that exists? It's tall. It's up there. It's in the trillions, 27 trillion, but it's not wide, meaning meaning most Americans are not touching that trillion. You see what I mean? When we have that conversation, well, if you go back in time, it was even worse. You see what I'm saying? So the more of the average people get some money in their pocket, the more they consume. So everyone, and when those average people get more money in their pocket, the people that ain't average, they have more money too. So we're consuming more. He looked at that as a sign of weakness and said, you ain't gonna buy that. I mean, it just makes no sense. You ain't gonna buy that jacket from wherever else. Stop buying that jacket from wherever else. We're gonna make that jacket. It's just bigotry. It's just like saying, I ain't gonna buy those fruits and vegetables from a liberal. They're the only one on the block that's making fruit, that have a farm, but I ain't going to buy. My family's starving. I ain't going to buy it because they liberals. That's exactly what this is about. It has no other sense. It's just bigoted policy. It's stupid.
That's why he's trying to force through this reckless tariff regime. Now, the downside of negative trade balance, where we import more than we export, is, of course, that it means that certain U.S. sectors like manufacturing aren't theoretically as competitive, but this is a very narrow view. There are goods and services we simply don't provide, and so we need to import them. Now, to be generous, it is a problem that U.S. trade policy over the past several decades was designed to crush U.S. competitiveness as we move to an increasingly financialized economy. One need look no further than the burned out industrial areas in the Northeast or the Rust Belt to see how we have deliberately crushed the U.S. manufacturing base. So not a good thing. Now,
no, it's not a good thing. But we also came to the table late. Our policy extends beyond just look at this. I'm gonna give you an example. Look at this. When did the conversation about clean energy come into play in the world on the global stage? Yeah, I'm just curious about that. I just want to make sure I have the data about, because I remember it long ago, right? And that policy in itself, let's listen to this. In the 70s, in 79. So look, so the U.S. this thing about clean energy started in a major way in the 70s, right? In the end of the 70s, beginning of the 80s, right? And what the U.S. did basically was stall it out because of oil. Right now, you could talk about manufacturing all you want, but energy is a part of manufacturing. How are you going to supply power is a part of it. And since it's part of industry, right? And because fossil fuels are burning up destroying the ozone layer, fucking making the earth get, more, the weather systems get more hostile towards life. You see what I mean? Because it's defending itself, you see, that's something that needs to be taken into account in terms of industry also. Are you going to continue to make cars that run on gas? Are you going to continue to sell generators that run on gas? Are you going to continue to be a single energy economy or in nation, right? Industrialized nation. Of course, you had some other forms that are going around, like you had nuclear energy, right? But look, nuclear energy was something that was also viewed as a problematic, because if somebody hits that motherfucker with a bomb, you know what I'm saying, you might have a problem too. So they figured that out also. So what did they decide? They decided that renewable energy, the cheapest way to actually do it is with windmills, is with a lot of the new things that people are rolling out, solar panels. And this all they started talking about this in the 80s. What did the U.S. do? Instead of take the lead because of the oil companies, because they wanted to dominate the globe, our oil companies wanted to dominate, and they felt like, yo, you're taking away our money at home. Stop doing that. You're going to risk our energy. They decided to play the back, and that's what they did. Problem is that was a whole new lane for industry. Period. You could have said, now we need people to go to school to be trained on how to implement these new windmills, how to build windmills, how to build solar panels, how to implement them, how to install them. We need the infrastructure, man. That's whole industry jobs. That instead of doing it that way, we said, nah, we're going to abandon all of it and let everyone else take the lead and create their industries, create a whole new lane, have a whole new purpose for their educational systems. It's really a big project. You see what I mean? We said no. So, there's going to be issues. Yeah, we pulled back. We didn't invest in companies. But how do you invest in the future when you're not even paying attention to the fact that the future is energy? So how are you going to invest in motor cars when the future is clean cars, when the future is L cars? What are you going to do? You see what I mean? So there was a lot that the U.S. abandoned when it comes to industry. Yes, there was a whole lot. And people watched it as they went along. And people literally watched Trump double down on it for years. 2016, fuck clean energy, fuck windmills. I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want it. How many years later is it now and he's doing the same thing? How many years now? Now you got to see. Now China is number one in that. China's not only number one in it, China is also selling cars across the globe. In your backyard, they are selling L cars like crazy, like never before. And what you going to do about it? Nothing. You ain't going to do nothing. No war can stop it. Nothing. What you have to do is learn how to catch up. And how are you going to catch up? There's ways to catch up, but you ain't going to take no advice from none of your allies. So, there it is. There it is.
Now, let's allow that the Trump administration sees the problem clearly, even if they've misdiagnosed it and offered the exact wrong prescription. See, tariffs alone cannot fix the problem, as evidenced by the ISM manufacturing data and labor statistics. As you can see by the year-end ISM data release, every input of manufacturing is slowing down.
Now, let me look at this. You see, this dude is so he's an asshole, man. This guy literally, he took a problem and made it an even bigger problem. Instead of taking a problem and finding a solution, Trump did the opposite. Trump fucking did the opposite. Let's just look and see what industries. I want to take a close look, and I'm going to let everybody look at this too. 2 seconds here. Let me take my screen off just so y'all can see this. I don't know how many of you can see it. Can y'all see this? Let me make sure this is in. Right. Y'all can see this, right? Let me know if y'all can see this. This is who is this? Yeah, this shit is down, yo. This is down. It's down. It's down. It's doing nothing. Trump's doing nothing for industry. He's doing nothing for U.S. industry, you know. And listen, this is from a build them up from the ground up perspective, you know. To build industry, to get industry to pop again, the energy is a huge part of it. Energy is a big part of it, but being consistent too. You know, we still know, if you look at the stock market, look, you got companies like let me see here, Charge Station Holdings, right? Anybody ever heard of that? Charge Point, is it Charge Point Holdings, I think? Or is it Charge Station Holdings? I think it's Charge Point Holdings. Yeah, Charge Point Holdings, right? Everybody can see that. This company is the biggest provider of L-car stations where you can fuel up on electricity. They're the biggest provider in the U.S. and EU, right? So they're huge, right? And we're talking about America, Canada, I believe, Canada, U.S., and the EU, right? They're big. But if you look at how long their stock has been on hold, they're the biggest, meaning most of you, if you have an L car, most of you have used their stations before, right? Most of you, if you have an L car, if you're driving it from city to city or state to state or something like that, if you're really using your L car, most of you have used one of their stations before, right? Whether you know it or not. Look at how the stock has just held. It's gone down. You see, it's been sinking for some years, because when they first went on there, when they first rolled the money out to do this stuff, the infrastructure, right? I'm talking about the private company. They thought that the government was going to follow up. That's what they thought the government was going to do. That's what the government promised them that they would do, right? That's what they promised. So they invested billions of dollars. And you hear Trump talking about, yeah, we're bringing investors here to America. What about the investors that already invested billions of dollars, motherfucker? Like, what are you doing? You see, he totally stopped the rollout that was supposed to help them, you know, help build up capacity, right? You know what that did? You know what that did, right? When he did these tariffs with Canada, did these tariffs with the rest of the world, he slowed down automobile manufacturing sales from American companies. He literally did that. Why? Because Cadillac had plenty of L cars, luxury L cars that were about to roll out. Loads of American companies had already gone in that direction. They had been told go in this direction. They took the lead, and Trump just pulled it all right out under their feet. That's what he did. So listen, if you want to know about jobs and car manufacturing, if you want to know about new energy, jobs in the new energy sector, green energy sector, for people that are technicians, things like that. And this is huge. This is huge industry. If you want to know about that in the United States of America, then you would want to know why Trump reneged on the rollout for the new energy. You will want to know why Trump is not making sure that every American citizen can go to a tech school to implement, to go out and install these things across the country. That's the job market. That's a huge part of the job market for blue collar workers. You will want to know why Trump did it that way, you know, but when was the last time you heard anyone in his cabinet talking about it? But those are the real conversations. When was the last time you heard the newspapers even talking about it? You know, you have to wonder, why is the news not even talking about it? You know, it's one thing for it to not be Trump's policy. It's one thing for him to be a failed leader. But when the news, the legacy media is not talking about it and doing stories about it, I just wonder myself. But one thing you better believe is that most other people are going outside and seeing L car stations being implemented. I mean, I just had that issue a couple of months ago. Now they're right out in front of my door now. Not my door, but close to my door. You know, here where I live in Denmark, of course, Denmark's one of the major countries doing that, but it's all across the EU. That means people have jobs doing that. Look, so think about this. I mean, oil is a natural resource. It runs out. Green energy doesn't. Just think about that. Oil runs out. It gets more expensive because it runs out. It gets more expensive because of wars, because it comes from all over the world. You got to dig it out of the ground. You got to do all of that. That's not how green energy functions. You're making the energy. Yes, it's your energy and you have abundance of it. You can make as much of it as you want. It's not being stolen out of the ground. You see what I mean? And the U.S., Trump is just sitting there twiddling his thumbs, because, there's something going on. They want maybe Elon Musk to own it all. Something like that. Something Elon is paying for. There's something that he reneged on. I'm telling you, there's something there between them. Elon Musk is making L cars and the rollout got stopped. So there's something there between those two that's not good. There's a grudge there, but you have to ask what the play is on that. It's obviously some sort of play going on that industry. And I suspect that what it is that certain people want to own that industry. That's what I suspect it is. And it ain't the ones that's in power. That's what I suspect it is. So they slow it down. That's what I suspect it is, but they're slowing it down. And what's the effect? The effect is the American worker don't have jobs. The economy is not doing well. That's the effect of it,
Except for production, which is listed as growing over the past 2 months, but slower than in the past. So every aspect of manufacturing is in contraction, and it has been for 10 months in a row.
Now, it just makes you wonder, what is it? I mean, and look, I'm not saying what Trump is doing is like he's thinking through it or he even knows what he's saying. This dude could be a Manchurian candidate. He may not know nothing about what he's doing. Everything he's doing could be at a whim because someone around him in the room is suggesting it to him. And people in the room are pushing him to do things. Like, that's what a Manchurian candidate is. It's not a person that thinks for themselves. And look at Trump. I mean, how much of the thinking for himself do you really think he is doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think much.
Moreover, the labor data for 2025 bears this out as well, because it's estimated that we lost 70,000 manufacturing jobs. So Trump's tariff policy was designed at its core.
Trump killed the industry that was already there. At the same time, he refused to invest in new emerging industries. This man is killing production. He is killing trade and he is killing production. The U.S. dollar is falling because of it, and the Supreme Court is twiddling their fingers, like straight up. I'm just saying, it's always a good day to, contact the Supreme Court. I'm serious. Like, if you never wrote them a letter before, write them an email, write them, and write them a handwritten letter too. Fuck it. You know what I'm saying? And go there and ask to have a meeting. You're a citizen, you pay their taxes. Yeah, like, get on it, because something is terribly wrong. This government is not functioning as a government anymore. It is something, there's another power source telling these motherfuckers what to do and what not do, because they're not even just following the basic Constitution. When the Supreme Court doesn't just give you an answer about tariffs, who can make tariffs, when they don't answer that question, how many months has it been now? I mean, the answer is easy. It works. The answer is supposed to be the same way in any other Western government. That's who controls tariffs. The people. Go to the parliament. Find out. That's who's fucking supposed to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not a brainiac answer. What the hell? You think the first goddamn Constitution was written in the United States of America? No, not in the West. So they acted like they just made up the whole idea of a Constitution and shit. What's in the Constitution is supposed to stand. You see what I mean? And of course, there can be amendments, but this is way past an amendment. They're giving total authority to the president. That can't be an accident.
To reinvigorate manufacturing. But absent a national industrial policy and an actual plan, tariffs alone cannot do the job. Now, the last two major developments that set us up for our top story today are maneuvers happening outside of the United States. At the last meeting of the BRICS Alliance,
yes, you have BRICS, and now you have the EU and South American trade deal. That one was done right in front of get right in front of Trump's face. And you know something? I'm even starting to suspect that BRICS was done in Trump's that they rolled that out during Trump's thing too. Let me go check on that. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if that was rolled out in Trump's administration, Let me just double check that because I'm curious about it. The concept is 2001, so the concept is 2001. The first formal summit 2009. Yeah, and then the next movement on that is 2024. So and of course it's obviously made as a response to the United States. This is, to the United States hold on the dollar. You see what I mean? Hold on industry, listen, the U.S. had a hold on industry just through the dollar, just through the fact that people had to use the U.S. dollar because it was a stable currency to trade with. People were using it all across the globe. People preferred it. That is no longer it. In the moment that is something that's happening, who does it benefit? It benefits who? Who do you think it benefits then? It benefits people, other major industry, other major economies that do have trade alliances. Who is that? That's BRICS. And believe me, it's not that BRICS is unbeatable, but it's there. And that means it's relevant. But who else? The EU. And what does the EU have? They have their own trade policy now, and they're rolling their trade policy out. You see what I mean? So listen, I'm sorry, but Trump abandoned the American people. He abandoned American people. He abandoned American industry. He abandoned everything that is American. There can be no American. If you're in the military and you picking up a gun and shooting somebody else because of this motherfucker, you ain't helping no American. You're not helping no American. There's nothing Trump is doing that's helping any American, So it is just it's all bad. It's all bad, and it's going to have practical outcomes, and the practical outcomes is crash. Practical outcome is inflation. Maybe a lot of people because they can't afford to pay their loans on their homes. What's going to happen with that? What is going to happen with that? There's no answer. And you see Trump is trying to get rid of Jerome Powell from the Fed, right? He's trying to get rid of him so you don't get real solid economic data being produced, right? He wants to get rid of him because the guy is a straight shooter. This is not good. This is not good. It's not good. People got to stand up. And I know it's easier for me to say it being an American that lives outside of the U.S. I know it's easier for me to say it. It is. It's easier for me to say it. I said it. There you go. It don't change the fact. Like, if I was living in the United States right now, my ass would be going down to the Supreme Court building. Like, I'm from D.C., my ass would be down there every motherfucking day, especially if I don't have a goddamn job. I would be right out in front of the Supreme Court and the Capitol. They right across the street from each other. You can hit them both up. You see what I mean? I would be out there. I would go to work. And on my way home, every single day, I would pass right by the Supreme Court, depending on what time I get off, and look at the audience, look at the crowd, talk to the people. I would be right there. Go to the Capitol. You can schedule a meeting, go visit your Congress member, anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is all about Congress, Senate, Supreme Court. Like, they can end this any day of the week. And listen, if there's anyone you want to blame at this point on, stop blaming Trump. It's them. Because when you have a lunatic in office that is fucking up everything in your life, the people that can stop him take blame. And that is the Congress, the Senate, and the Supreme Court. They can stop him, because, look, it's just a lunatic. He's a lunatic. You can't keep going back to a lunatic trying to talk to him and rationalize with him. He has to be gone. He's got to go. He's got to be taken out. and they're the people, the Congress. If you want him taken out the right way, the Congress and the Senate and the Supreme Court can do it. You see what I mean? But if you don't take him out the right way, I'm pretty sure somebody else is going to take his ass out.
2025, Brazil handed over the leadership role to India, whose representatives unveiled their major initiative for 2026 and beyond, something called the BRICS unit. Now, we've talked about BRICS before. We got Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. Indonesia is now a major partner, along with countries like Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, and the UAE. Now, the BRICS unit is a digital currency backed 40% by physical gold and 60% by a basket of BRICS currencies equally, so that there's diversification.
Okay, you heard what it is now. Digital currency.
Now, here's where it gets interesting. Each BRICS nation is also independently moving toward digital transactions internally. India's UPI system, Unified Payments Interface, is revolutionizing how money moves inside the world's most populous country. And they just announced in December as well that their UPI technology is going to be leveraged throughout the whole of Ethiopia. Now, it's important to understand these aren't just payment apps. This is fundamental infrastructure. And the unit is designed to sit on top of all of them, creating unified rails that connect these digital ecosystems together. So here's why this is the most underreported story in global trade and finance. The BRICS is not ready for prime time, so I just want to be clear about that. But the priority of the alliance is to make this system operational so it can begin settling transactions among BRICS nations for things like oil. And you can probably see where this is all going. The biggest U.S. superpower is the fact that the global currency of record is the U.S. dollar. If you want to do multinational business and cross-border business anywhere in the world, chances are you're using the dollar. There are exclusions to this, but by and large, about 80% of global transactions are settled in dollars.
Okay, so we said that, right? We talked about the dollar. I mean, that's exactly where we started at, the dollar. And where is the dollar? What's the dollar been doing under Trump's name, in the name of Trump? What has the dollar been doing? Here, let's go see. I mean, it's horrible, but U.S. dollar, here it is. This is the U.S. dollar again. And, I'm just doing this on repeat because it can't be any clearer. It has to be understood. American citizens, you need to pay attention. I'm going to make it the graph a year. This is what it looks like in this 1 year. Trump came, you see where I'm at on the left? Let me make it bigger again. Because it does come back to here, right? You see it now. Where I'm at on the left, on the red little line there, that at the top on the left is where Trump came into power. Look at the date. So you see here, he came in on a good economy. Or a better economy, right? He came in on a better dollar value, right? This is February. You see what I'm saying? All up here. Look. As soon as March comes in, when he starts, all you got to do is open the newspaper up and you will know. You will be able to look at the goddamn newspaper and just look at this date, March. Just go for March and see what did Trump do in March? What did Trump do? Obviously, he did tariffs, and he shrank the value of the dollar. He shrank it. And this is the dollar compared to the Danish krone. Look, if you change it to the EU, which is very relevant, change it. There it is. It's the same pattern. There's no difference in this pattern. The U.S. dollar has lost power to the krona and to the EU. You see what I mean? Now, how is that? You see what I'm saying? Now, let's go back to what he's saying. It's sad, but it's reality. So let's hear some more.
More importantly, for our purposes today, this is also true of oil. And we call these petrodollars. They're not different from dollars. They're just dollars specifically used to settle oil trades. Now think about what we just pulled off in Venezuela. Without emotion or even shock at the brazen illegality of this maneuver, Venezuelan oil has long been sanctioned by...
Yeah, big up to the chat, everybody in the chat. I see who's in there. Jay, appreciate you, man. Big up to everybody that came through in the chat. Listen, subscribe, if you want to get in the chat, to the listeners, people that are listening and are not in the chat, it's on subscriber mode now. So I appreciate everybody in the chat, though. Good looking out.
By the United States, unless Chevron was involved and carved out. Same holds true for Russian oil since the invasion of Ukraine. Also for Iran. Now, Venezuela has still managed to sell oil on the global market, but they've had to sell it in alternative currencies and take a heavy discount. So what this means for us is that dollars aren't being used. And the two biggest buyers of...
Let's play that back. So this is for the people that supported Trump. Because a lot of them don't know how the economy works, and no pun intended, you have to take constructive criticism. So when I say that, I don't mean it to demean you if you don't know how the economy works. I'm just saying this has been my experience. When talking with people that support Trump, they don't actually really know how stuff really works. And so they fall for the simple explanation. So they need to wrap their heads around the real workings of it. So here it is.
Same holds true for Russian oil since the invasion of Ukraine. Also for Iran. Now, Venezuela has still managed to sell oil on the global market, but they've had to sell it in alternative currencies and take a heavy discount. So what this means for us is that dollars aren't being used. And the two biggest buyers of Venezuelan crude are India and China, the pillars of the BRICS alliance.
And how many people does India have? I mean, these are mathematical equations. That's why I always tell people, you got to do the math. The math is not going to lie to you. You might feel, listen to me. And I'm saying, you have to get to the point where you're an American citizen and a voter, right? And I'm also on earth. Well, this is politics for you. You got to get to the point where you have priorities, and you got to ask yourself, this is just an example. If you're a Christian man, for example, a heterosexual Christian man that stands on your foundation of marriage means man and a woman, and man doesn't wear a dress. If that's where you stand on, okay, great. Now here, check this out. You need to understand something. Voting for someone who cares more about a man wearing a dress than he cares about this shit we talking about right here, that makes you a goddamn fool. Because listen, this shit right here is prime to everyone's goddamn life, period. This is more important than who is wearing a fucking dress. This information is way more critical to your life than who somebody is sleeping with. I'm just saying it, and I'm not an advocate. I'm not out there advocating anything. I advocate equal rights for everybody. Mind my business, do my thing. Let me have freedom. I want freedom for myself. You see what I mean? And I like freedom. I enjoy the things I like it, how I like it. But for me to enjoy it how I like it, I have to leave other people alone too. Let them enjoy shit, because we all need this economic shit to work out. You see what I mean? And again, I'm not going to be a motherfucker tied up in the room, right? With a sociopath got me tied up in the room. I'm the lefty dude tied up in the room with a MAGA person. And we both got, the MAGA person got his arm cut off and I got my leg cut off. And the MAGA person is sitting up there talking about, I got you, liberal. See, I don't care about the sociopath that's going to kill us, because as long as you die too, yo, I ain't going to be in the room at all. I'm not going to be in the room at all with the sociopath. Do you see what I mean? Like, I'm not supporting lunacy whatsoever. You see, priorities. And Americans, don't ever forget, you chose a culture war over your pockets and your own security. Yes, you did. All you Trump supporters, you supported a culture war over your home, over your kids' home, over your kids having a roof over their head and food in their belly and clothes on their back, and your parents having access to elder care. You chose that. You were like, fuck elder care, fuck health care, fuck a decent paying job. Fuck any policy about that. Fuck the mortgage rates. Fuck everything else. I want to talk about the dude wearing a dress. I don't want him in the bathroom tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? And that's what they literally did. And listen, it makes no goddamn sense, because I'm a heterosexual man. I go in the ladies' bathroom any motherfucking time I want to take a leak. I can't wait all the time. What the fuck? I just go in, use the bathroom, and leave. It's pretty clean. You know what I'm saying? and motherfucking Americans is up here having a goddamn culture war over who can use the motherfucking toilet. You know what I'm saying? Like, it makes no sense. It makes zero fucking sense. It makes zero sense. This is what happened, and you just got to get off of that shit right now. You just got to get off of it. You know,
With China,
it's terrible. Let me tell you, this is going to lead you closer to a motherfucking war, than anything else. What is about to happen because you had Trump in office? You know what that means? That means the next administration has to take over and fix shit. But you know what it also means? The next administration is going to be challenged by the outside world. Your United States military may be sitting on his heels right now, having a good old time fucking with Venezuela, who's really no competition. But let me tell you what is to come because of dumbass Trump. You know, he risked our military people's lives because instead of play this game the right way, in a comprehensive way, in a unified way with our allies, he's put our military in 5 years from now and 10 years from now in more risk than they even had to be for a real motherfucking conflict. You see what I mean? Like, that's a problem. That is a problem. You didn't reduce war. You may have created more war because of all the changes people have to go through because you just had a lunatic. That's what they mean by rule-based order. That's what they mean by now there's a new world order being created because the leader of the old one just gave up and washed his hands and said, I don't want order. And when you don't want order, you don't want shit to work well. And when you don't want shit to work well and you have no responsibility for how things work, shit gets more chaotic. For a lot of people, the people who have less order. So who has less order right now? Does China have less order? Does the EU have less order? Or is it goddamn the United States that has less order?
China representing about 80% of the purchases in recent months. You see, the one thing that allows us to maintain our grip on the whole world economy isn't the U.S. military. It's the U.S. dollar. So interesting timing that the largest economy in Latin America and the two largest Asian economies just teamed up to create an alternative settlement mechanism to the U.S. dollar. And that leads us to an even more recent and shocking development. The other development that got relatively little attention in U.S. media was the soon-to-be ratified Mercosur Free Trade Agreement.
Listen,
so this is
I'm telling you, listen, I'm a reading-ass motherfucker. I'm speaking to you on layman terms. Some of people don't like the way I speak, but let me tell you, I know exactly what this guy is saying it because I said it long before him. I just told you this. The media is a lot of folks. I'm ahead of a lot of folks. You just have to understand that. And it's okay if you don't understand it, because the longer you hang around, the more you're going to start seeing it, right? But I'm here for my duty. I'm an American citizen. I live outside of the U.S. I live in Denmark. I live in one of the countries this dumbass president is attacking and knows nothing about it. You know, these dumbass MAGA people in the U.S. think they can buy Greenland. Listen, these Greenlanders have a better life. They have a better quality of life than you MAGA people. They can buy you. You need to shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about. They have universal health care, universal education. That means anytime they want to take a trade, they can just go to fucking school. OK, how are you going to buy them? How are you going to buy them? They're worth more than you. They have more rights than you. What the fuck? And they understand their rights and they understand their value. You don't, But in any case, you see this. Look, Mercosur, you see him doing this. We were just going over this yesterday. We were just going over this trade agreement and what it means to the U.S. dollar, what it means to the American people. We just went over this. I'm just telling you. So listen, if you don't like my vernacular, I understand that. That's okay. That doesn't bother me. Go over to the Midas Touch. They came a couple of days later with this analysis. You know what I'm saying? You could go over there and get a fantastic analysis about this. If you like the guy's vernacular, I love it too. Hey, I understand exactly what he's saying. I just don't speak that way. It comes in, I get it, and then I throw it back out because my listeners are a little bit different. My target group is a little bit different. I want younger people. I want people that maybe don't always want it to be strictly conservative to get the information too. So that's my job. My job is not to mimic or get approval from other stations. I know exactly what I'm doing, and I love Midas Touch reporting. You know, I love it. I love it so much. It's not even just Midas Touch, but I love excellent reporting so much. I love just researching my own self. You see what I mean? But if you've been with my channel, you just have to admit I've been ahead of the curve on a lot of shit. And it's not about just being ahead of the curve. It's about getting the information out there to people that may not necessarily get it the other way. You see what I mean? But let's continue with this. I mean, South America, Trump, he literally put a finger up, and every MAGA person did put a finger up to the EU, our allies, our strongest allies in the United States of America. Trump put a finger up to the EU. He put a finger up to Canada. He put a finger up to Mexico. Then he went over and said, fuck this, I'm going to put a finger up to South America too. Fuck you too, South America. What the fuck? What the fuck? You know, now, months ago, I said, if I was the EU when Trump started this tariff shit, I said exactly this. I said what the EU should do, since they own the Atlantic, is go right down and make a trade deal with South America. That's exactly what I said, and I said it many a time. And lo and behold, that's exactly what their plan was, because the math don't lie. When you're dealing with trade, you're dealing with distance. You don't want to waste money on distance because you have to pay money for the transportation. So who can get the better deal? You get the better deal when you have good trading relations with the people closest to you, the ones that are most accessible to you. That's how you get the best deal. Trump went the opposite way and said, fuck all of that. And you expect everybody else to follow Trump's lead? Nobody else is following Trump's lead. Everybody else said our people deserve a life with dignity. They deserve progress, continued progress, and we're going to do what's necessary to produce that. The only person not thinking that way is Trump.
A highly contentious trade deal between the EU and Latin American trade bloc that includes Brazil, Argentina, Paraguay, Uruguay, and Bolivia. Now, there have even been protests and pushback among agricultural providers in Europe, most vocally in France, who see this as a competitive affront and a potentially harmful step because...
But it's not. I'm going to tell you straight up. It's not. And I said that like 2 days ago or something. It's not, because, first of all, the EU their leadership is extremely intellectual. They have a firm hold over what trade is in the first place, from step A, from A to Z, how it works, how the theories and how the laws hit the ground and impact the ground. And they're perfectly capable of responding to any concerns and even making adjustments if necessary. And it's also the same in South America, man. These people ain't dumb. You see what I mean? And you know, of course, people are going to have concerns, right? And they should have concerns, and they should be willing in a democratic society to continue to discuss and voice their concerns. That means things work. But you don't see that in the U.S., the people being able to discuss their concerns being welcomed. You don't see that at all. You see what I mean? And you don't see a leadership that can even understand concerns, whether it's intellectually, theoretically, or practically. You don't see that coming out of the U.S. So this, what is it? Is it a Mercosur agreement? The agreement between the EU and South America. Listen, I'm gonna tell you something right now, and I'm speaking to American citizens. Anybody else listening to, you're also appreciated. But I'm speaking. The reason why I'm saying American citizens, because they need the warning, because a lot of Americans do not see the warning signs. I'm about to tell you something, and American citizens need to understand this. South America can easily replace you. Yes, they can. And you need to understand why that is. You know, the U.S. is not that old. I'm talking about in terms of being the premier Americans. I'm talking about when people say America, what do they think about? See, for the last 100 years, when people said America, they thought about the U.S. because the U.S. was the superpower. That's what they thought about. The U.S. was the cultural driver, right? Because all its different diverse cultures blending in, mixing in, being able, that is a product in itself. Those cultural drivers, they sold that to the world. We sold jazz to the world. We sold everything, all of our inventions, all the things that we put our own twist on. We sold it to the world. But listen, South America is a runner up in that. You see what I mean? They are a runner up to all of those things. And right now, the EU is making a deal with them. And that deal is trade. And that deal has something to do. The trade is broad and it's a free trade deal. It's natural resources. But what's coming back? The technological resources, engineering, engineering agreements. You see what I mean? Things that are going to help South America develop. And you have, let me just pull this map up. You have to understand this. You have to understand this. This is not a joke. And this is the math. And it doesn't matter what your religion is. It doesn't matter what your gender is. It doesn't matter what your sexuality is. It doesn't matter what your political party is. It doesn't matter what the fuck. Doesn't matter where you live in the United States of America. It doesn't matter if you live in the mountains or in the valleys or in the hills or on the sea. It doesn't matter. The math of it says this. The math of it says, let me pull this up. The math of it says this. Take my camera off too. This is what the math of it says. The math of it says direct shot from the EU to South America. That's close. You see what I mean? So we gave up partnerships with the EU. We gave that up. Look at the distance. Okay, they were close because they're just directly across the sea, a sea that is uncontested, a sea controlled by NATO. You see what I'm saying? The NATO alliance, security-wise, trade-wise, distance-wise, you're saving money by trading with these people in closest proximity to you that have things to trade and exchange. Whether it's intellectual property, whether it's engineering industry, whether it's building industry, whether it's infrastructure, whether it's gold, whether it's tin, whether it's copper, whether it's anything you need to make L vehicles out of, whether it's anything, straight shot, straight up, straight shot. So if you want to fight, if you want to put your military somewhere, first of all, you're going to put it where your trade is and where your security lies. So even if it's not there, even if it's not always there, you're definitely going to be comfortable with doing that because you're getting more of a bang for your buck. So what South America has done in trade with the EU, they're basically going to replace us. They're going to replace us. Cultural differences between the EU and South America. Not many cultural differences at all. That means there's a synergy there that can be built on. That's what that means. Long term. Long term. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not saying that that none of them are trying to antagonize the US. We got a president that has antagonized them. That's what we got. You see what I mean? And this is the result of our president antagonizing them. The result of it is that guess what? Somebody else is saying we don't deserve this. We don't deserve to be put back in time just because of a lunatic from one day to the next wants to announce his policy via tweet. Nah, we got to be more responsible than that. And this is the result, So yeah.
Certain South American countries don't adhere to the same strict environmental and health standards.
So look, people get the gist of this. I don't want to go on with this. The videos are on Midas Touch. Let me see here. Let me put this also in the chat for people that don't know the Midas Touch. If you don't know the Midas Touch and you don't know Max, go over there and check it out. I'm going to put it in the chat for people. Here you go. You can also copy the link to, maybe some people on their mobile phones can't copy the link, but in any case, there it is for you, right? And people can feel how they want about this, but listen, I'm just saying, Americans, get your shit together. You know what I'm saying? Like, get your shit together, really. Like, this is not looking good. This is unnecessary. But I'm afraid the Congress and the Senate and the Supreme Court have let down the American people. Yeah. I'm afraid it's become too partisan, that level heads can work this shit out. Sadly, that's what I'm afraid of. And yeah, because if level heads could have worked this out, we wouldn't even be here. We wouldn't even be at this point. You know, that's what I'm starting to think. I mean, right now, what we have instead of somebody concerned about trade, what we have is somebody concerned about a man wearing a dress in Minnesota, or a immigrant who's cleaning, an illegal immigrant who's cleaning stairs. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we're like, we're really, our priorities are really off right now. And, not that comprehensive immigration reform, not that couldn't be a topic. That could be a topic and should always be a topic. And by the way, that's not even a special topic. Every country on earth, even the NATO allies, have comprehensive immigration reform. They discuss that every day. That's just another topic that grown-ups have, just like they have with trade. Grown-ups visit that, but they do it in a comprehensive way. The United States under Trump has totally confused any comprehensive immigration reform, and has resisted any other party trying to communicate with him about, and has opted instead for chase people around on the streets. just get out there and just see what you can find on your own. No, we don't need any comprehensive tools. We don't need any understanding about what we're doing. Just if he sound like a Mexican, or if he looks like a foreigner, you be the judge. You just stop him. Violate his Fourth Amendment rights. You just stop him if you think he looks like it. That will be the first sign, how he looks to you. You know what I'm saying? You know, and that obviously means, even though both sides of my family go back to the colonial period in the United States of America, I'm born and raised in Washington, D.C. That means the moment I leave D.C., I'm going to have some dumbass motherfucker trying to stop me all the goddamn time, which I'm not trying to put up with myself. I find that insulting. Yes, I find it insulting and revolting. And I have to put my middle finger up to you if you ever stop me based on how I fucking look. You see what I'm saying? Fuck you. Like, totally. Like, who the fuck are you to look at me and think I'm not from here, bitch? Give me your papers. Let me see your motherfucking papers. Where are your fucking ancestors from? How long they been in the country, motherfucker? And I'm so happy. I've seen a lot of immigrants getting stopped that are saying that. Where's your papers? Because, yeah, I told you, a lot of these people, I said this before. There are people working. There's no law against you being a dual citizen and working for ICE. I said this plenty of times. They have them, dual citizens working for ICE. Secondly, it's not even about, it gets even deeper. If you only been in the U.S. for one generation, 2 generations, man, you better get the hell out of my face. Yo, no pun intended, but don't ever come to me asking me what the fuck I am. Like, you better fucking stop. Like, just stop. I mean, that's an extra offense. That's an extra offense. You see what I mean? Like, you people in ICE, you better think about it. You better fucking think about it. Don't expect anybody like me to respond nicely to you asking me where the fuck I am from. Where the fuck are you from? Where are you from? A lot of these motherfuckers, they're not really from, I'm telling you. I've been saying it the whole time. This goddamn Heritage Foundation, the founders, only one of them has ancestors that they can trace back to the United States. The other 2, they're immigrant families. And these MAGA people just live it up and like, yeah, he said so. Heritage. We about heritage. Yeah, well, what heritage you talking about? You came here after the Civil War. What the fuck? You know what I'm saying? That's like Trump's family after the Civil War. And I'm not dissing people that came there, but this is the party that's trying to tell people about 1776. They trying to tell people about George Washington, who George Washington is. I know who the fuck George Washington is. My family was here. Okay? You don't have to tell me what the fuck George Washington is. I know it like the back of my motherfucking hand. I can go to his goddamn, the George Washington Masonic Temple any motherfucking day of the week. It's just outside of DC. You see what I mean? Like, what the hell? These people, man, I'm telling you, Europe, all you right wingers in Europe, take note. The people that brought in Russia into our country, the people that walked in Putin was the right wing of the United States of America. Don't you ever forget it. And what they wanted to do is lie to people. And that's exactly what they did. They used disinformation to get Trump into power and to attack the EU, to attack every other NATO nation. You better understand that. So think again about your right wing policies and being bigoted and pointing fingers at people, because the joke can also be on you. It's about division and taking your fucking society from you. Divide enough people, keep them looking at this kind of dumb shit while they go in and take your shit. And Elon Musk is on the troll. He's looking for your ass right now because he's obviously down with Putin. Obviously. You see what I'm saying? He's obviously part of it. And he's looking at you and he's going to play the same game. Freedom of speech. You're trying to restrict freedom of speech. No. It's hate speech we don't want. It's this divisive speech we don't want. And they're going to call it freedom. It's the same game. It's the same exact game in Europe. Your politicians, European people that voted for the politicians you have right now, the reasonable ones, give yourself a round of applause. Give yourself a round of applause because at least they saw that trick coming. At least they saw it coming. Don't you ever forget, the most powerful nation on earth, the United States of America, their citizens didn't see it coming. Their Congress didn't see it coming. Their Senates didn't see it coming. Their Supreme Court didn't see it coming. And their motherfucking military didn't see it coming, because if they saw it coming, it wouldn't even fucking be happening right now. No diss to the military, but you motherfuckers are supposed to protect our country from any type of thing like this. And you failed us. You failed us. Okay, you failed us from the number one job. Okay, now you're going to play catch up. That's all you can do from this point on is play catch up. And you better be happy if you ever get somebody with any motherfucking sense again in office. Anyway, let's hear a little bit about this shit. Here with you. This is the leader of the NATO alliance, but this is not an American, I believe. So let's hear. Let me just check here. Actually, I'm going to skip on this because I don't even think this is, to be honest with you, I don't even think this is relevant. I don't think it's relevant, to be honest. I think something else is more relevant to Americans. Europeans, no, they on their own. They know they can't do things with Trump. They know that. So whatever it is he was about to say, look, Europe, protect yourselves. Canada, work with Europe, protect these motherfuckers. Everybody else, reform yourselves, because Trump, he doesn't want to leave NATO, obviously, because he wants to be an obstruction to NATO. And what better way to be an obstruction by staying in and disagreeing with everybody and threatening your own allies in NATO? What better way, right? He should be kicked. The U.S. should be kicked out of fucking NATO, like, period. They should be kicked out. You see what I mean? You know, Trump already threatened to leave before. You know, why don't you just leave, motherfucker? What you waiting for? What you waiting for? I mean, goddamn. All right, but look, let's go over to something more important than that. You know, what's happening in the United States, because the EU can handle what's happening. Obviously, you seen them. They willing to move and shake and do what needs to be done. The EU is 450 million people. You don't have to play the back to nobody. You see what I mean? Second biggest economy on earth now. But this is more important today for me. It's more important because I feel safe in the EU. You see what I mean? I feel safe in the EU. You see what I mean? I mean, I have no complaints myself personally. I have no complaints. Thank you. That's what I have to say. Thank you. As an American citizen living in the EU, living in Denmark, my words are thank you. Now, but to the Americans living inside of the U.S., the problem we got in the U.S., this is what's happening. This is what's happening, sadly enough.
Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry and Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison are holding a press conference right now. Let's listen in.
Do me a favor, click the like button, y'all. I know it's a lot of people. It's probably 200, maybe it's been between 200 and 300 people. But if you're listening, click the like button. Don't forget to click the like button. Also, it helps more people come into the stream. I appreciate it.
We've come together and we're here to announce a lawsuit we're filing against the United States Department of Homeland Security to end the unlawful, unprecedented surge of the federal law enforcement agents into Minnesota.
Yeah, and they suing the federal government. The states can sue the federal government. And listen, go at it. Please do, because this shit is too far gone. A woman has been shot basically at point blank range in the motherfucking head. okay? And they're trying to pretend like that shit wasn't murder. Sorry, motherfucker. This was murder. You know, and we know in the U.S., it's hard to figure out. They got 4 different kinds of murder. You know, murder 1, murder 2, you know, manslaughter. Oops, it was an accident. It was a cold day. I slipped. Murder. They have all kinds of murder, but it was murder. Okay, and again, if you don't know a very effective way to kill somebody, just learn from this cop, because his way was more effective than any mafia could have ever done it. Okay, so yeah.
Because this has to stop. It just has to stop. We allege that the obvious target.
Now, most MAGA is like, man, this guy's color, I don't want to listen to him. Fuck what he's saying. Look at his color. Who the fuck is he? Another DEI? This is what MAGA is saying right now, likely. Now, if you're a reform MAGA person, you probably aren't saying that anymore, right? Because that's exactly how you got Trump in office, playing you on culture war, right? But you should listen to this man, because he knows what he's saying, and he got more experience than Trump.
Targeting of Minnesota for our diversity, for our democracy, and our differences of opinion with the federal government is a violation of the Constitution and of federal law. We allege that the surge's reckless impact on our schools, on our local law enforcement, is a violation of the 10th Amendment and the sovereign laws and powers of the Constitution grants to states.
Okay, so violation of the 10th Amendment. Let me see. We just went over these amendments yesterday, and my advice was this. Everybody that's involved in graffiti in your neighborhood, you don't have to be a graffiti expert, but just an artist. Let's say that. Artist. Everybody in your cities, you know, on day one, this needs to be the plan from here on out. Anytime you hear Trump talking about bringing ICE to your city, anytime, and any day after, get out there, hit the streets, make sure that in paint on the streets is written the goddamn amendments, the Bill of Rights, on every goddamn street on the street. So when one of these motherfuckers fall, they will know why. They violated one of those things on there. Just like, seriously, they will at least know why. You know what I'm saying? The last thing they can look at is be like, boom, 4th Amendment, boom, 1st Amendment. Damn, is that why I'm dying today? Put it up. You know what I'm saying? Put all those amendments up in every goddamn, poll everywhere. Just, that's your job. Like, straight up, because they are violating your civil rights. And they are doing it on purpose with impunity. And when that happens, before anything else happens, at least they need to know why it's going to happen to them on day one. Like, as a warning sign, you come on these streets violating these rights, motherfucker. I don't know who the fuck you've been talking to, but expect something in your ass today. Okay? Expect that. And if you should just so happen to fall and that's the last thing you see, that's on you.
We allege that DHS's use of excessive and lethal force, their warrantless racist arrests, their targeting of our courts, our churches, houses of worship, and schools are a violation of the Administrative Procedures Act on arbitrary and capricious federal actions. And we ask that the courts will end the surge of thousands of DHS agents into Minnesota. We ask the courts to end the DHS unlawful behavior in our state, the intimidation, the threats, the violence. We ask the courts to end the tactics on our places of worship, our schools, our courts, our marketplaces, our hospitals, and even funeral homes. The deployment of thousands of armed mass DHS agents to Minnesota has done our state serious harm. This is, in essence, a federal invasion of the Twin Cities and Minnesota, and it must stop. DHS agents have sown chaos and terror across the metropolitan area and in cities across the state of Minnesota. Schools have gone onto lockdown. Entire districts have had to cancel school for tens of thousands of students to ensure safety and offer online education because of the students' and the parents' fear of coming into the school. Local businesses are struggling. Revenues are down. And some retail stores, daycares, and restaurants have actually closed because people are afraid to go out and to do their shopping, whether they're immigrants or whether they are citizens of many generations. This surge has made us less safe. Thousands of poorly trained, aggressive, and armed agents of the state, of the federal government, have rolled into our communities, overwhelmed our local police departments, and law enforcement agencies should be focused on our public safety, but instead, many are dealing with the aftermath of DHS agents' chaos and violence. I want to thank our law enforcement officers for doing a tremendous job under very difficult circumstances. Not the people, but the federal government. Minneapolis police have had to respond to more than 20 ICE-related incidents, like witnesses seeking people being pulled into unmarked vehicles by men in masks or ICE abandoning vehicles on the street.
Yeah. Now now that time has gone by, everyone can see the reason why they wear the mask is so they cannot be identified when they commit crimes themselves. That's obviously the reason. They know that that's why they're hiding their faces, because they want to be able to commit crimes and get away with it. Of course, you won't really get away with it in the long term, but they don't want immediate consequences. So they've all been told to wear masks, and the federal government is not going to help you identify these people. You see what I mean? Just like it was before, not on purpose. You see what I mean? They didn't name the person's name. The guy who killed Renee Good, they didn't release his name on purpose, Kristi Noem. It was an accident where people figured out. One of her statements that she made, she commented about the officer had been involved in another thing where he was dragged by a car, and that got publicity. See, so then people could put two and two together, and they figured it out. But the reality is that they don't want to be identified. So these are the kind of people that want to be like KKK members. They want to go out in your communities with a mask on, commit crimes, and then go and have dinner in the same community and sit next to you and have you not know it's them. That's what these masks are about. They want to do dastardly deeds with the mask on and then walk around in society like they're civil people. That's what this is all about. And that shit has got to come to an end. It's offensive, but it's also Nazi, fascist, there's nothing more to it. Everybody knows in America what these masks were done, what was done under these masks in the name of Christianity. Everybody knows that, in the name of bigotry from these white supremacists following this Christian warped. I don't even like to call it Christian, but they claim it is, putting up crosses in people's yards, burning the crosses, threatening their families, killing their family members one by one if you didn't just go along with it. And then the same people doing that who were they? Part of the police department in the daytime. So they wore the hoods at night when they want to violate your civil rights. And then when you go to complain to the police, you talking to the same motherfucker that was in your yard last night burning a cross without his mask on, pretending to help you want to get justice. That's what's going on with these masks, And I'm just saying, Americans right now, you gotta follow the law, man. And when the federal government is not following the law, the only people that are left to follow it is you. That's it. You see what I mean? And you don't need anybody. You don't need to wait for the Supreme Court to figure out what the motherfucking law is, because they ain't special. Everybody got a constitution. You can carry it around in your pocket too. You see what I mean? And I'll be damned with president, because the Supreme Court has thrown precedent out the window in rulings for Trump. They have just thrown it out the window. So they're not functioning on president anymore. They're actually saying president can be challenged. That's code word for your life is in danger. That's what that is. That's code word for we want the Klan back. You see what I mean? We don't want to go on president that has made these things, created all these laws because of wrongdoing that occurred. No, we want to swipe the slate clean, totally clean, and pretend like we don't have any president anymore, on certain matters. So having said that, that's just some bullshit. I advise people don't even listen. But this is Kristi Noem's ass. She's about to get chewed out. As a matter of fact, hold on. let me go over to this one first, because this was done. This was really, really done well. Let me see. Let me go over to this. Sorry about that. Let me pull this up for 2 seconds. And it's a short that's up on my page that has Kristi Noem in it. And they basically, the short explains it all. Let me just go and find it here. Where is it at? Here we go. Let's just open it up and see, so you can see for yourself and make the judgment yourself, right? So here it is. Y'all can see this. Let me go down here. Boom, boom, boom. Here it is right here. So let's go into it. Here's the short. Let me take my camera off too. Here we go.
Actually even know what you're talking about when I ask questions as if like that's an assertion. It's a question. How can you make a conclusion before an investigation? And there really isn't an answer other than you saw the video. I want to ask a question about the rules of how law enforcement is allowed to engage when feeling threatened, per your assertions. Because I want to show some video to you right now and ask, what is the appropriate response for the police officers in this situation? Those are law enforcement officers being physically attacked. By this standard, would any of those officers be justified in shooting and killing the people causing them physical harm?
Every single situation is going to rely on the situation those officers are on. That they know that when people are putting hands on them, when they are using weapons against them, when they are physically harming them, that they have the authority to arrest those individuals.
The president
make sure
pardoned
that they're
every single
facing
one of those people.
consequences and make sure that they're getting justice for their actions going forward.
President Trump pardoned every single one of those people.
And every single one of these investigations comes in the full context of the situation on the ground. And that's one thing that President Trump has been so focused on, is making sure that when we're out there, we don't pick and choose which situations are and which laws are enforced and which ones aren't. Every single one of them is being enforced under the Trump administration, and the clarity of the law stands. And if people don't like it, these members of Congress and elected officials should go change the law and make sure they have that debate and policy change.
I just showed you video of people attacking law enforcement officers. Undisputed proof, undisputed evidence. And I just said President Trump pardoned all of them. And you said that President Trump is enforcing all the laws equally. It's just not true. There's a different standard for law enforcement officials being attacked if they're being attacked by Trump supporters. We just saw that. I don't actually even know what you're talking about when I ask questions as if like that's an assertion. It's a question. How can you make a conclusion before an investigation? And there really isn't an answer other than you saw the video. I want to ask a question about the rules of how law enforcement is allowed to engage when feeling threatened, per your assertions. Because I want to show some video to you right now and ask, what is the appropriate response for the police officers in this situation? Those are law enforcement officers being physically attacked. By this standard, would any of those officers be justified in shooting and killing the people causing them physical harm?
Every single situation is going to rely on the situation those officers are on. That they know that when people...
You see? So there it is. Like I said this sometime before. Very simple. And look, if you haven't figured this one out, I don't know what part people will figure out, but I would tell you this much. For me, I don't understand. I get the argument that the officers made, that they have commands that they're following and all of this, and this is how you do it in the Capitol and all of that. But listen, these officers, now that you hear from Kristi Noem, right? Now that you hear her own words, right? And now that you see what has happened years later, now down the line, now that we've established this down the line, you can easily see that something's not right. So if those officers don't have the right to shoot. According to Kristi Noem, if she didn't say shoot, you notice how she didn't say they should have shot them, that they have every right to shoot them, that they have every right to use lethal force to protect themselves. Notice she didn't go into any of that. But when it comes to shooting the woman in the car, they go into all of that. They have every right to protect themselves. And if they're approached with aggression and they feel that their lives are in danger, they have every right to shoot. Notice how she didn't say that at all when these Capitol Police were being attacked and maimed, and beaten and stomped on. Right? Over and over and over and over and over. Another dude's head was getting crushed in the fucking door. They were purposely trying to take this motherfucker's head off in the door. And Kristi Noem didn't shed one tear. She didn't shed one. So she is purely partisan, purely partisan. And what the United States is feeling right now is pure partisanship from the Supreme Court, from the Congress, from the Senate. This is what the American citizens are left with. The Capitol Police, this is what you are left with. This is who is protecting you right now, right? The people who didn't even have the nerve, the woman who didn't even have the nerve to say you could use lethal force on them. And me, myself, I'm going to tell you straight up, being born and raised in the United States of America, being an American citizen, family on both sides go back to the colonial period, being brought up and born and raised in Washington, D.C. I told everybody already on my platform that I would have shot their ass. If I was a Capitol Police officer, I would have shot their ass because I know that's wrong. I know anywhere else in the United States of America, every single day, police officers shoot people for far fucking less. For far fucking less. That is the reality. That is the reality. And this thing about shooting this woman in the head, that is just what normally happens a lot of times. That happened a whole lot of times in the United States. Not really from the federal government before, but it's happened a lot of times. So I couldn't understand why these police officers, why none of them shot. But I do understand that they felt like even the shot wouldn't protect them, that they would be overwhelmed. So they thought that this would be the best way to slow them down. Right. OK, maybe I get that. But, I'm just saying, maybe I would have been like the officer or the law enforcement officer that shot this woman. Maybe I would have been one of the people that was like, nah, I see this white supremacist for what he is. I need to just shoot his ass now before he kills me. Maybe I would have done that. Maybe I would have said it that way. Maybe I would have been like that. This motherfucker obviously is a racist, right? So, maybe I should just shoot his ass and get it over with before he gets me. Maybe I could have gone that route. You see what I mean? And it's quite possible I would have, because I've never seen a situation in my life where you ever allow that shit to go on like that. But here we see a woman sitting in her car. She's not getting out of her car, approaching the police. She's in her car. She doesn't have a weapon. And they feel like she's a threat to their life. Everyone watched the video and everyone agrees they did not see this woman strike that man with his car. Everyone knows there's no video that exists of her striking the man with the car. And even the first video shows it, because if you look closely, you will see his feet. When he shot that gun, his feet was too far away. Even when he pulled the motherfucking, you could see she turned the steering wheel so she could not even run into the dude. It wasn't even possible for her to run into the dude. And you could see when he fired that gun, his feet were so far away from that car, it's impossible that he was hit. You could just understand. Then secondly, how are you firing off 4 shots if you were fucking hit with a car? What is that all about? You see, so it means the man is totally lying. It means they're covering it up because none of it makes sense. You can't be hit with a car and then shoot the woman again. Like, once you're hit, stop shooting, motherfucker. What are you shooting at? You can't aim if you were hit. You hit with a car and you still shooting 4 times? Like, is that what it is? Like, so you already know, first of all, okay, so shot 1, you try to protect yourself. So what was shot 2 about? Was it still about protecting yourself? Is that what it was? But shot one, his feet were so far away from that car. It's not possible. It's not physically possible the car could have touched him when he made the first shot. So what about that basically means he shouldn't have been shooting. That's what that means. It means he was shooting a fleeing individual. That's illegal. That's murder. That's what that is. That's cold-blooded murder. And that's what people saw on the street. And, it was a woman, which, in some kind of way, is it kind of makes it easier for Americans to digest a little bit, I think. That's really weird, but I think it makes it easier for Americans to digest, given a lot of Americans can be bigoted. A lot of Americans, like myself, I had to grow up with bigotry. I mean, I grew up in Washington, D.C., so we don't have a lot of this direct racism going on. I didn't grow up with this kind of direct racism. You know what I'm saying? None of that bullshit. Nobody out there calling me nigga. Nobody, actually, I grew up with a lot of love and treatment and consideration in my neighborhood. Like a lot of love, even the police department, many black people, majority black police officers, So I grew up with a lot of love. A lot of my teachers, mixed teachers, different, but all treated with a lot of love. I'm talking about a lot of love. You know what I mean? So I grew up in a city where there was a lot of love for children, like seriously, but for young people. But when you leave DC, and that there's places you go to Maryland, Virginia, they have a whole nother idea about what is normal. You see what I mean? And so I know that racism is real. And luckily, DC had everything. So I didn't really need to go to Maryland or Virginia. I would go to New York before I would go to damn Maryland or Virginia. You know what I'm saying? Seriously, I'm just putting it out there how it is. You know what I'm saying? I'm just putting it out there how it is. But I would go to another major city before I would really shop in Maryland and Virginia. You know what I'm saying? Maybe once or twice. You know what I'm saying? But this dynamic is real. So I'm saying that as a person that looks like me, that has my background, that I know it makes it easier for Americans to digest what they saw when it's a white woman, because then it makes it very clear. If they will kill a white woman this way, they will kill anyone else this way. That's what it means in the United States of America, like in those terms. You see what I mean? And I usually don't like to, we all need to stand together and we all need to work towards a common goal, but just to put it in, terms for other people to understand, when I'm making this kind of comment, I know what that message is. The message is if they will shoot a white woman in the head with impunity, a gay white woman, or just a white woman, it doesn't even matter, anything else, a white woman in the head this way, the message to everyone else is we will shoot you too. Like that's pretty much the message that I think they're sending out, and yeah. You heard Kristi Noem. She didn't say she doesn't, she couldn't comment really on the, Capitol Police being brutalized. And she never said, hey, shoot them. She never said their lives were in danger. She never said it. You know what I'm saying? She never said it once. So, I mean, there's a double standard, and this is the standard we're going to have to live out until level heads, until responsible people come into the administration and clean house. Like and the house got to be clean. Like, listen, anybody in the country that is a congressional member, that is a senator, and you can't see that what they did to this woman was wrong, you need to leave office right now. You need to leave. You are no representative for any people at all. You chose the side of murder. That's what you did. So stop the cap. Those people, Americans, this is going to be you. This is going to be you. And it will come back to MAGA. These police, these federal agents, if this is a norm, this will happen to you. Like, if this is going to be okay, it's coming back to you. Like, just understand that. If you don't stop this, it is coming back to you. There will be federal agents killing people in red states. I'm just telling you. And why? Because you made it normal and you made all the arguments to say that there's nothing wrong with doing that. You see what I'm saying? And it's coming because y'all are going to be pissed off when the economy goes down. Look, you're going to be angry at the government soon. You're going to be very angry at this government very soon because you're going to be losing your homes. You're going to be losing so much because of this guy. You're going to be outraged. And then what do you expect the motherfucking police to do when you're outraged? What do you think they're going to do then? It's coming sooner than you think. It's coming sooner than you think. But in any case, listen, folks, I got to be out. I appreciate everybody for coming through. I can only say so much in 1 minute, but or in these minutes, what is it? It's a little over 2 hours, you know. But I just really hope American citizens listen to me. I know it's not easy to be wrong and change your mind. But you've seen, if you voted for Trump, you have seen enough evidence. You have seen many people. You have seen many people that voted for Trump go public and say why they don't support him anymore. And there's been loads of people that have done that. You need to consider what they're saying. You need to consider why those people don't vote for Trump anymore. And you need to make an adult decision if you want to have a country, because listen, this is not a moment where you beat liberals. This is a moment where you put your country behind for a long time. Like straight up, where you putting your country behind for a long goddamn time. Like, that's a sad thing. Some things are meant to not exist. Some things are meant to not exist now. And you just have to decide what your priorities are, But my advice is start taking some of these things serious. First of all, understand that no government can be just when it doesn't treat its own citizens right. When it doesn't think of what is best for its own citizens, not what is best, but just making sure that while loads of people have billions of dollars, that at least the average citizen can have a dignified life, health care, and access to education. That's all people fucking ask. That's all they fucking ask. You can go buy as many jets as you want, but goddamn, can't you just get the basic shit right? Can't you just do the regular shit for the regular people? They got to do something to make this economy turn, because it's not going to turn all by yourself. You're going to have somebody to work with. And look, I'm going to tell MAGA people, these billionaires, do you think they're going to stay in a country that they can't make any money off of? Do you think that's where they're going to keep their money? Most of them don't even keep their money in the United States anyway. Like straight up. So they're going to abandon you. That's what they're going to do. They're going to abandon you for better pastures, and there ain't going to be no better pasture with no real leadership in the country. So on that note, I'm out. I will be back in 24 hours. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. The subscribers, I appreciate y'all. Big up to you, and thanks a lot for giving me this opportunity to be able to speak to my people. You know what I mean? American living in Denmark. I can tell you a lot about it firsthand, and I'm telling you, don't believe any of the goddamn lies that Trump is saying about Denmark. He is lying, and he's lying for someone else, and it's not the American people. It is Putin. Like straight up. And that is shameful. There should no one should be proud of that. No American should be proud of being so so petty and so ignorant and so public with it, the deceit. No American should be proud of stabbing your own allies in the back. Nobody should be. Denmark has been a very staunch ally of the United States. The United States was after World War II is the first nation to call for Article 5, right? And that means to ask for all its allies to come to its support after 9/11. And the allies came. Denmark was one of the first, and the allies came when the United States of America actually invoked Article 5. Article 5 is asking for our allies to come to our support, to our side, to stand together with us. That was Article 5. Denmark was one of those nations, and we're abandoning Denmark. That's what Trump is doing. You see what I mean? And yeah, in any case, I see people, they don't know the word imperial is a long time. Russia there is something called Russia, which was an imperial nation. There's something called China. You need to do your research, you know. In any case, superpowers tend to do that. But if you want to know the history, you don't have to now. You can just be like this, only focus on one, you know. But in case you don't know, other people get invaded too by other people, you know what I'm saying, all around the world every day. And those people call them imperialists, and they not always the United States or NATO. So if it only matters when NATO does it to you, hey, that's on you, you know. But in any case, you know, it doesn't even matter because you know, the bottom line is a very basic premise. When you turn on the people that were there for you, it doesn't matter where you come from in the world. That's called stabbing them in the back. Okay. Doesn't matter who it is. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter if it's your friends on the corner. It doesn't matter if it's the motherfuckers on the basketball court. It doesn't matter if it's who. It doesn't matter if it's in Asia and an Asian turns his back on the Asian allies. It doesn't matter if it's Russia and somebody you see what I mean? And Russia turns their back on allies. It doesn't matter. You saw how quick Putin turned in Maduro. You saw how quick he just said, fuck it. Fuck Maduro. Just keep my people in power and you can have him. That's the deal he made with Trump. That's also the same kind of bullshit. I warned Venezuela. I said it. I said it myself. I said Putin is going to turn his back. He's going to turn his back. In the public, he's going to talk rough, but he's going to make a deal with Trump. And that's what that is. So you can figure out who the imperialist is in that scheme. You can figure that out. Is it Russia or is it Trump or is it Putin or is it both of them? Which one? That's kind of, you know, you see, it exposes that. So, but here's the case. Turning your back on people that were there for you can never, ever be right. And if you want more of that, then I would say support it. You see what I mean? Maybe you should experience your friends turning their back on you after you help them. Maybe you do that, right? Maybe it can work that way too. But in basic terms, you know, everyone knows that's wrong. You see what I'm saying? So, having said that, I see a lot of people, you know, they don't want to deal with the U.S. economy shrinking. Let me ask you, put a 1 in the chat if you're an American. Put a 2 in the chat if you're not. Let me just ask a couple questions here. Ray GV, are you American? Put a 1 in the chat if you're American. And tell me what city you come from. Dwayne, put a 1 in the chat. Let me know what city you come from. Or if you're an American citizen, put a 1 in the chat and let me know what city you come from. Vic, yeah, let me know. It's just interesting to know. You know what I'm saying? Look, you don't have to be. You can chime in on the conversation or whatever. But I'm just curious. You know, I like to have focus, and I like to have focus on topics. And here's the thing: no pun to what anybody's talking about in the chat. But if you want to get rid of Trump, if you think Trump is a problem, we need to be focused on what he's causing to everyone as an American. Right now, I know it's a lot of people that don't give a fuck about the United States of America. You know, everyone doesn't. Russia doesn't give a fuck about the United States of America. China doesn't give a fuck about the United States of America. A lot of countries don't give a fuck about the United States of America. Right. And from that perspective, yeah, I get it. You wouldn't give a fuck if what Trump does bad for you wouldn't care. Right. I get that. But if you are American citizen, you might want to care. You might not want to sit back on that whole thing about China, man. Fuck what happened to the United States. If your ass is living in the United States of America, you might want to give a fuck right now. Don't get too caught up in the hocus pocus of it all. If you're living in the U.S., you might want to give a fuck right now. And you might not want to make the excuses fancy. Like drop No talk about imperialism. You can't even handle that conversation right now. Just drop that. Worry about your ass. Worry about your ass right now. Like let's not talk about old grudges and shit like that, because your ass is on the line right now. You know, you better save your ass first. This is not somebody else anymore. This is you. And although I'm laughing, I'm just saying, let's keep this shit real. You know what I'm saying? I'm not. You haven't heard Israel come out of my mouth once. I'm not saying that's not a conversation, but goddamn, look, you know, I'm not imperialism. What the fuck? What the fuck? This is survival right now. Imperialism is too fancy of a topic. You know what I'm saying? That's for rich folk to talk about, man. What the fuck? Shit is about to be bad in the U.S. And I'm only saying this because I care. You see what I mean? I'm only saying it because I care. You know, and I want things to be better. And so I'm trying to do my part by saying that shit got to be fixed, because shit can be better. And there's no excuse. There's no excuse for things not being better, not coming out better. There's no excuse. But let's not have illusions about it. Right now, we need to fix what's going on, because when our allies turn their backs on us, that means something is not happening in the U.S. That means we're not going to do well. We don't stand alone on earth. Of course, nobody ever did, even in good times. But right now, we're going to need to do some reforming before things get better. And that reforming is not coming in the name of Donald J. Trump or anybody close to him. Like, they're just trying to rob the cradle before it falls. They're just trying to rob the bank before it crashes, like straight up, and get their gold out before it's done, so they can put it somewhere else in some other country, and they can be flying in their planes and having fun while they abandon the American people, like straight up. Like, that's what it's looking like to me. But on that note, I'll be back. I appreciate everybody for coming through. Yeah, I don't know what tomorrow's going to look like, but for now, we here and we still alive. So make something out of your day, and you know, and don't sit back and be idle about it either. Like, there's something that can be done today to make things better. So let's get on it. I appreciate y'all. All right, one. Impeach Trump. Fuck Trump. Impeach Trump. He's a traitor.
They want war. Crime babies looking for food. Starvation, the recipe. People subdued. When the people you trust got it in for you. Deceit is the word of the day in every crew. Don't let it go. It's from the days of old. Time is up, but some still do not know. Can I make up my mind? Is it worth the dime? Do I have to take a minute just to make it mine? Life's never fair, but don't listen to the TV. Go out and take a listen to the streets, with the people in the slums and the homeless bums, with degrees and degrees sitting under a tree. It's not easy in the world for the poor man, the one that brought you to reality. See, they don't want you to know about the black sheep, leaving 7 rows to the 12 families all around the globe with an ancient code. Is it really asking a lot to say a death old? Cause we sitting on the earth looking back at extinct, and I'm standing on some ground that's about to sink. I ain't scared for a minute, I ain't about to blink, but I documented for the world what I see and think. Feel we on the call and I feel we on the brink. All Congress gonna do is waste paper and ink. Vote or die. You voted and you'll die. You can have it both ways, can't say it's a lie. You can march all you want, but they playing you wrong. They only understand war, it's the same old song. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. Like a lotus coming out of the mud with colors, I create envy in those with power but jealous. I unify the poor with my song, the hell with the others. Descended the way they treat indigenous brothers, cause I understand we link forever. They try to hate us even though that we keep it together. I'm not talking about controlling the air or the weather, I'm talking about maintaining the truth, the high endeavor. A rebel drops bombs in the midst of trouble. The free world counterattack, and now there's double. But nature gets the shit in the way to settle. If you stop the machines for a minute you might hear, but they won't, cause the TV's whisper in the ear. And capitalism has eyes that don't tear, and they cloud up and get crazy and won't steer. And like an ad, it's hard to get an ass to listen. Living like this is like living in prison. It's hard to keep hope when you're living in prison. The spiritual thoughts, so yes, the mental prison. The outside, yes, it's got to get through. Something's gotta die, so something here can live. Your life is nothing if you got nothing to give. Keeping the spiritual, yes, disguised as religion. Controlling your mind, the mental prison.
They want war. All they really want is a war. Diversion, every tactic to make the big score. Them diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. All they really want is a war. Diversion, every tactic to make the big score. Them diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war.
Sometimes I think about, does love still exist? Yeah, I have my doubts. On the street, I check out how brothers be living. Yo, let's just say, kid, it ain't no Thanksgiving. We got people shooting dope, ain't never heard of hope. We got others with the gat and the brothers with the fucking scope. As I enter the project center rec rooms, some brothers might see the doom. I see my nigga Paulo, fat pockets of papes. He knows the neighborhood biddies with all the dopest shapes. There goes Rollo with the blowout fro. He's got a gat, hey yo niggas gots to go. No show is live with narrate, fuck Memorex. My nigga Rollo's got a gat at Paulo's chest. One slug blasted out, down boy died. Now show me some love, kid, it sounds like a fucking
yes, you
lie.
know the struggle goes on. People try to survive, hold on. But we know it's been so long. Pain without a limit, so wrong.
Sometimes I think how the world come to this, a place where every man and woman needs a therapist. Mass confusion, people living in delusion, justify all the bullshit through the Constitution. Meanwhile, the masses struggle to survive. I think we're too busy to hear our people's cries. Single mothers struggle to raise families. Genocide committed through famine and disease. I wonder if these things will ever cease to exist. I know it could if we cease and desist. Giving all the power to the industrialists, giving all our power to the damn commercialists. They see us just as being sheep in this world, that want us to do what we're told like boys and girls. Oh God, I wanna live another day so I can help provide equality
And
this
yes, you know
day.
the struggle goes on. People trying to survive, hold on. Though we know it's been so long. Pain without a limit, so wrong.
Everybody round the globe, open up your earlobe, your third eye, and then decipher the code. Through knowledge, understanding, then bring love into the concept instead of bling bling. Truth instead of biased educational methods. Twisting, contorting God's message of love for every human being. Listen, motherfucker, don't you hear the screams? It's time to do much more than talk, debate, and spread hate. We need to think and at the same time investigate. Understand what our actions may create. Before continuing the cycle we procreate. We can clone humans, but at the same time we can't feed humans. The future of man is actually looming. It's really depressing, it's true.
And yes, you know the struggle goes on. People trying to survive, hold on.